Ethical challenges of informed consent in psychological research. Informed consent is the ethical cornerstone of psychological research with human participants, built on the principles of respect, beneficence, and justice. In Australia, the National Statement on Ethical Conduct in Human Research 2025 requires that consent be voluntary, informed, and understandable. Atkinson, 2025, while the Australian Code for the Responsible Conduct of Research 2018 mandates that consent be specific, voluntary, and based on full disclosure. OECD, 2025. However, modern research contexts, particularly online studies and social media data collection, are straining these traditional consent frameworks. This essay examines the ethical challenges posed by digital research methods and then focuses on adolescents, a group for whom obtaining valid consent is particularly complex. Online studies, the problem of meaningful consent. Online psychological research has grown exponentially, yet obtaining meaningful consent in digital environments remains problematic. Traditional consent processes assume face-to-face interaction where participants can ask questions and receive immediate clarification. Online, consent is often reduced to clicking "I agree" after scrolling through lengthy legalistic forms. Research by Sterling et al. 2026 found that online risk warnings about psychological side effects did not change participant expectations or cause negative outcomes, raising concerns about whether such warnings effectively guide decision-making during the consent process. Sterling et al. 2026 concluded that the ineffectiveness of risk warnings challenges their utility as a harm mitigation strategy, suggesting that current online consent practices may be more performative than protective. Social media data collection, consent without asking. Perhaps the most vexing modern challenge involves research using publicly available social media data. A field experiment on Reddit collecting posts from a schizophrenia support forum was retracted after community backlash revealed researchers had not sought informed consent from users, nor even notified the subreddit's moderators, despite explicit community rules requiring prior approval. Retraction Watch, 2025. The moderator noted that it is no small feat for someone with schizophrenia who grapples with paranoia to speak in a semi-anonymous setting, so the intrusion is particularly violating. Researchers have long debated whether public posts truly waive the need for consent. A 2021 study found that only 13.9% of social media research papers mentioned any ethics review. As Bora et al. 2025 argue, a participatory governance approach actively engaging users as co-producers in research can address key concerns over consent, transparency and potential harm, ensuring that research serves the public interest rather than merely exploiting publicly accessible data. Vulnerable groups, adolescents. For adolescents, obtaining informed consent is particularly fraught. The National Statement 2025 recognizes children and young people as a group requiring special ethical consideration. Atkinson, 2025. However, researchers face conflicting positions. Some frame adolescents as inherently vulnerable requiring protection, while others emphasize their developing capacity for autonomous decision-making and advocate for empowerment-based approaches. A qualitative study by Faruqi et al. 2024 interviewed 23 Australian adolescent health researchers and found that ethics committees often adopt risk-averse positions, imposing gatekeeping mechanisms that exclude young people from research participation under the guise of protection. The majority of participants felt the current research ethics establishment is not favorable for researchers or adolescents themselves. This ethical tension is compounded by legal requirements for parental consent, which may prevent adolescents with valid perspectives, particularly those from marginalized communities, from being heard in research designed to benefit them. Conclusion. The ethical challenges to informed consent in contemporary psychological research are significant and require urgent attention. Online studies risk reducing consent to a meaningless checkbox. Social media research threatens to violate participant trust and autonomy, and vulnerable groups such as adolescents are often excluded under protective frameworks that ironically deny them voice. A way forward lies in participatory approaches that actively involve communities including adolescents and social media users. In designing consent processes, and in regulatory frameworks that adapt to digital realities without abandoning core ethical principles.